Southern Railway steam locomotive 4501 on Louisville, Kentucky to Huntingburg, Indiana and back on a Saturday afternoon in 1977. We're looking at the steam locomotive getting ready to take the passenger train and the passengers to Huntingburg, Indiana, west of Louisville, Kentucky. We left Youngstown rail yards in Louisville, Kentucky, approaching the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge that'll be approaching here in just a moment on our trip west to Huntingburg, Indiana. There's the semaphores as we approach the entrance to the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge. We're making our swing onto it right now. There is the bridge in the distance. There's the Interstate Highway 64 bridge that crosses the Ohio River here at New Albany and from Louisville. Here's the bridge crossing the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky to New Albany, Indiana. The Ohio River you're in luck. A freight's approaching. We swung off at the K&I onto the field here at New Albany, Indiana on the curve. There's the grain facilities at 10th Street in New Albany, Indiana. Duncan Tunnel at Everettsville, Indiana. We've just exited and we're headed west. You're looking at the Indiana countryside. Double track. DePaul Tunnel. Exit it. Now we're still headed west. This coal-fired locomotive is really putting out the smoke. This is our photo run by. The train lets the passengers off. They line up beside the track and the train charges past and everybody gets a good shot of what a steam train would look like in the days when look what we got coming down here on the left. It's an automobile on a gravel road pacing the train. There's some of the passengers and the people that showed up to take a photo of this train today. Train backing up to reboard the passengers to go to Huntingburg. This train was a sold-out train today. We're coming into Huntingburg itself. This was the outskirts, headed into Huntingburg, where the train will be turned and head back to Louisville, Kentucky. While in Huntingburg, the train was serviced, recoaled, and greased and set to go back to town. You're looking at the typical countryside of Indiana. We're headed east. Everyone's got their cameras ready and we're having another photo run by. Headed downhill. English, Indiana, a rough cut into the tunnel. Georgetown Trestle coming into Georgetown, Indiana. Duncan Tunnel, headed east into New Albany, Indiana. We're on the double track headed up to the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge to cross into Louisville, Kentucky for the conclusion of today's trip. And we're back on the bridge over the Ohio River. There's the McAlpine Locks on the Ohio River at Louisville, Kentucky. There's the parking lot for the employees of the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway in Louisville, Kentucky. We're backing the train into the station for the conclusion of today's trip. This is the second day on a Sunday of 4501 Southern Steam Locomotive headed from Louisville, Kentucky to Huntingburg, Indiana in 1977. We're on the approach to the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge coming into New Albany, Indiana. Here's the fill, and there's 10th Street in the distance in New Albany. There's a Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge in the background. And Interstate 64. We're on the flood wall in New Albany, Indiana, headed west. They put a helper on the front end of the steam locomotive to help them to get up the grade here to the Duncan Tunnel. The switcher's number was 3256 of the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway. We're at 10th Street headed west in New Albany. Those are the pumping stations for the city of New Albany on the left at 10th Street. We're headed up the cut, headed toward the Duncan Tunnel at Edwardsville, Indiana. That's Highway 64, State Highway, that the steam locomotive had just crossed. And the tunnel is directly below us. Here we've already exited, and we're up at Georgetown. As you can see, where the helper was dropped at Georgetown, we're headed west. A nice sunny day on Indiana countryside. A nice overhead shot of 4501. A nice sweeping countryside curve. .4501 going beside a newly plowed field. Approaching the west switch at Georgetown, Indiana, headed to New Albany, Indiana. At Georgetown, Indiana, you're approaching the flood wall at New Albany, Indiana. There's the pumps at 10th Street in New Albany off on the left side. Here you see 10th Street directly below us. We're headed east. There's the Interstate Highway Bridge ahead. We'll be crossing underneath that and then go across the Kentucky and Indiana Terminal Railway Bridge next. New Albany, Indiana, approaching the K&I Bridge, swinging off of the southern trackage at the entrance to the bridge at Vincennes Street. The trackage to the left swings off. It was the Old Moanon Railway. He came off of onto the southern, which also switched off to the B&O there at the entrance of the K&I Bridge on Vincennes in New Albany. And the B&O had a railway station here at the bridge on their rail line. Approaching the K&I Bridge with the freight. There goes passenger cars on for the roadway that was on either side of the bridge to take the vehicular traffic to Louisville.